morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching Janata Television and this is English Bulletin with me, it's Sabhadrai. The top stories first. Government urges Dr. Casey to break his hunger strike, argues the protest unwise during the current pandemic. Death toll from coronavirus crosses 500 in the country. Total case approaches 80,000. Supreme Court issues mandamus order in the name of government, directs the Ministry of Health to make all PCR tests free of cost. Azerbaijan and Armenia reject international plea to hold dialogue. Deadly dispute continues in Nagorno-Karabakh. And Arsenal get the better of Liverpool in EFL Cup, win the fourth round tie on penalties. And now the news in detail. The government has asked Dr. Govinda Casey, who has been demanding an improvement to the medical education sector, to break his hunger strike. Speaking at the press meet organised to release the government's decision to the public, spokesperson of the government Pradeep Gyawali said it was unwise to be involved in hunger strike, satyagraha and sit-ins at a time when all the focus should be on protecting the public from coronavirus pandemic. Minister Gyawali also informed that the issues Dr. Casey has taken up in his satyagraha protest are on the verge of being addressed and therefore he should break his hunger strike immediately.
सरकारले आफ्नो साधन स्रोतले भ्याएसम्म हरसम्भव प्रयत्नहरू गरिरहेको छ। पीसीआर को टेस्ट बढाउनु पर्यो भन्ने कुरा थियो, जुन हामीले 10 लाख भन्दा बढीको टेस्ट गरिसकेका छौं। प्रति 10 लाख झन्डै 35,000 को संख्यामा परीक्षण भएको छ र यो परीक्षणको दायरालाई हामीले निरन्तर अगाडि बढाइरहेका छौं। यो असामान्य अवस्थामा यति बेला अनसन, सत्याग्रह, धरना, हडताल यो बेला सुहाउँदो विषय हो र पक्कै पनि होइन। केही विषयहरू बाँकी छन् भने पछि छलफल गर्न सकिन्छ। मेरो नेपाल सरकारको तर्फबाट उहाँलाई आग्रह छ, उहाँका साथीहरूलाई आग्रह छ, अहिले अनसन फिर्ता लिएर हामी सबै कोभिड विरुद्धको लडाईमा जोड्यौं, जनतालाई यो महामारीबाट जोगाउँ।
Minister Gyawali informed that Dr. Casey's demand of opening a state-owned medical college in each province is being addressed, with the colleges very close to operating in full-fledged. With regards to demand of increase of PCR test, Minister Gyawali informed that the government has increased the scale of the PCR test, with 1 million tests already completed in the country. Minister Gyawali therefore urged Dr. Casey to break his fast, citing many of his demands which have already been addressed by the government. Shankar Das Bairagi has been appointed to the post of Chief Secretary of the Nepal government. The cabinet meeting yesterday decided to appoint Bairagi to the position of the Chief Secretary after accepting the recognition from the former position holder Lokdarshan Regmi. Bairagi was a secretary at the Foreign Ministry before his appointment yesterday. He also assumed his role from yesterday itself. The cabinet has also proposed Lokdarshan Regmi for the role of Nepali ambassador to UK. Regmi's tenure as the chief secretary was ending in a month's time, but he resigned from his post well before his tenure was set to end. Regmi was appointed as the 24th Chief Secretary of Nepal government on 23rd of October 2017. Meanwhile, the death toll due to COVID-19 infections has crossed 500 mark in the country. With additional 11 deaths confirmed yesterday, the total death tally stands at 509. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, 10 men and 1 woman succumbed to the disease yesterday. The ministry confirmed the death of a 34-year-old woman in Baake district. Similarly, 4 of the latest victims were from Kathmandu Valley. Additional 6 victims were from Sunsari and Morang, informed Dr. Jageshwar Gautam, a spokesperson at the Ministry of Health and Population. 1,911 new cases of coronavirus were reported in the country during the latest round of tests. Among them, 628 were female and 1,283 were males. With this, the total number of coronavirus cases in the country has climbed to 79,728. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. The break, we continue with other national news. Supreme Court has issued a writ of mandamus in the name of government to make PCR test free of cost. A joint bench of Justice Ananda Mohan Bhattrai and Tonka Bahadur Mokhtan issued the mandamus order in the name of Ministry of Health and Population to conduct a free PCR test and curb coronavirus infection from further spreading. Earlier on September 14, Advocate Lokendra Oli and Kesar Tonkesi filed a writ petition demanding a mandamus order to avail PCR test free of cost to general public. The full text of the verdict is yet to be revealed. The government currently has permitted private as well as government labs to charge the general public for PCR test. Most of the private labs have not compiled to PCR charge determined by the government. On Wednesday, Ministry of Health and Population had redirected the labs to conduct PCR tests, levying charges affixed by the government. The ministry has issued a warning to take action in case of a failure of compliance. In other news, with the intent of importing Israeli farming technology in Nepal, a memorandum of understanding has been signed between Nepal and Israel to establish an agriculture center. The signing was completed at the Israeli Foreign Ministry. Dr. Anjana Sakya, the Nepali ambassador to Israel, represented the Nepali side, while Israeli Foreign Minister Gabi Askanzi signed the document alongside Sakya. The completion of the Memorandum of Understanding is expected to increase the agricultural infrastructural development in Nepal, which in turn is set to provide many Nepali youths with employment opportunities, preventing them from ever going abroad for foreign employment. The Memorandum of Understanding also included agreement on providing employment to Nepali nationals in the caregiver sector, agriculture sector, hotel and restaurant sector, and construction sector, among others. However, labor admissions into these sectors will only be initiated after individual protocols are signed by both the parties. The Nepali embassy has informed that the agreement on the caregiver sector will be implemented very soon. And now the news from economic front. The number of people starting a poultry farming business has increased drastically in the past few years in Nepal. After the government decided to stop the import of chicken from India, Nepal has become independent in poultry farming. People like Raju Prasad Tharu, who have lived abroad for foreign employment for over 6 years, have come back home and set up a poultry farming business. Butwal-based Tharu, who started his business with 1,000-layer chicken, has not shifted to farming local chicken after 5 years. Tharu says the layer chicken are more prone to the Newcastle's disease, which wiped out all his chicken a couple of years ago, which prompted him to start farming local chicken. At present, his farm has 1,700 local chicken, 400 Giriraj chicken, 350 ducks and 50 Karaknath, also called black chicken. Tharu has also started his own hatchery from where he sells his own chicks to the local people or potential poultry farmers. The farm started with an initial investment of 3 million rupees, which has now increased to 10 million in 5 years. With a formidable return on investment, many foreign returnees in Nepal have started poultry farming business, which Tharu believes is good for the business as well as country's economy. We'll be taking a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international and sports news. Welcome back. Armenian and Azerbaijani forces have been battling at the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region, refusing international calls for ceasefire. The US, France and Russia have jointly condemned the hostility as the battle in Nagorno-Karabakh continued for the 5th day. Turkey, however, an ally of Azerbaijan, also dismissed demands for truce, BBC reported. The two countries were part of former Soviet Republic and had fought a war in the 1990s. The latest clash between the nations resurfaced in years over the breakaway reasoned last Sunday, leaving scores from both sides dead. BBC has cited Armenian government's statement earlier today, according to which it had shot down several Azerbaijani drones, including one that was very close to the capital, Yerevan. Nagorno-Karabakh is officially a part of Azerbaijan, but governed by separatist ethnic Armenians. Years of negotiation have failed to provide a peace treaty. A Chinese vlogger has been reported dead after her husband allegedly set her in fire as she attempted to live stream, BBC reported, citing Chinese local media. The social media influencer was apparently popular on Chinese version of TikTok with hundreds and thousands of followers. The victim, Lamu, suffered burns on 90% of her body. She died 2 weeks after her attack. Her husband has been arrested for the brutal attack. According to BBC, Lamu, 30, a local from Sichuan province in China, was known for sharing her rural life in her videos, which had millions of likes. The case has prompted conversations on social media over violence against women in China. Lamu died on 30th September after treatment failed. You are watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Arsenal defeated Liverpool on penalties in the Carabao Cup fourth round as Gunners goalkeeper Bernd Leno saved 2 spot kicks. Both teams fielded a largely second team in the cup game after an intense affair in the Premier League on Monday, which the Reds win by a scoreline of 3. This was the scoreline of 3-1. This was the third time in 8 weeks that Arsenal and Liverpool have played each other, with Arsenal winning on 2 occasions. After a goalless 90 minutes at Anfield, Arsenal's German goalkeeper Bernd Leno saved 2 penalties in the shootout before Joy Willock scored the winning spot kick. Mohamed Inai's miss in this shootout looked like it was going to be costly for the Gunners, but the German goalkeeper saved the next Reds penalty from Zoe Gomez and also parried the effort of Harry Wilson away from goal giving. Willock the decisive penalty, which he converted with ease. The Gunners will now play Manchester City in the quarter-final, which is set to take place in the 3rd week of December. Mumbai Indians returned to winning ways after they beat Kings 11 Punjab by 48 runs in the 13th match of the Indian Premier League. After winning the toss, the Kings 11 followed the trend and decided to bowl first at the Sheikh Zayed Stadium, but powerful hitting from Mumbai's captain Rohit Sharma, who scored a 70 from 45 balls, coupled with lower order pinch hitting from Kieron Pollard and Hardik Pandya's pushed the Mumbai total above the 180 mark. Pollard scored a 47 from 20 balls and Pandya scored 30 from 11 balls. In reply, wickets fell at regular intervals for the Punjab side, with only Nicholas Purun being the top scorer with 44 runs. The win takes the Mumbai Indians to the top of the table, while Punjab languish at the 6th position. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin, and the headlines once again. Government urges Dr. KC to break his hunger strike, argues the protest unwise. Death toll from coronavirus crosses 500 in the country. Total cases approaches 80,000. Supreme Court issues mandamus order in the name of government, directs the Ministry of Health to make all PCR tests free of cost. Azerbaijan and Armenia reject international plea to hold dialogue. Deadly dispute continues in Nagorno-Karabakh. And Arsenal get the better of Liverpool in the EFL Cup, win the 4th round tie on penalties. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.